What is up, you guys? Guess who's back? Back again from the different dimension. Thanos' snap couldn't slay me for long, as did everything. So, if you're wondering what the hell ended up happening, well, quarantine happened and I stopped making videos. If you're wondering what happened to the original Pokemaster Kenny channel, actually, there was a claim with Google that said I had a bunch of copyrighted content, which I did a lot of TikTok type videos on my channel, which ended up getting copyright strike because I didn't give a damn. So I didn't really read the copyright, and that ended up taking my original channel down. After I did rename it to my original name, being Kenny Pacula. Pokemaster Kenny's back. If you're wondering what happened to the Pladexmon channel, I actually changed it into the Pokemaster Kenny channel. I'm still supporting Orange Dragon Gaming with all of my heart. I'm also starting a new channel called SkyQuest TCG along with my girlfriend, so you might as well go check that out while you're there. We're going to be doing a lot of pack openings on that channel. On here, I'm primarily going to be doing deck profiles and asinine stuns / whatever I really feel like. I'm going to be uploading probably 3 times, 4 times a week, depending on how I feel, because the reason why I haven't been uploading is just because the formats have been really stale. The standard format sucks. It's reigned by Pyroar, it's reigned by ADP. Expanded is where it's at right now. It's also kind of being slain by Pyroar, but there's also a couple different decks going off, which is what I'm going to be profiling. This month is expanded month, so I'm going to be profiling a ton of expanded content here. Whether it be pulled off of Limitless, whether I put my own twists on stuff, or whether I just completely and utterly built something that I really wanted to. And we're going to start off with the deck that I've been doing fairly well with at online events. My first appearance was 5th place at the Thursday Weekly with this deck, and then I came off of a 9th place finish at the latest expanded event. This was with Pyroar Break. Now, everybody knows about Pyroar being that thing being stuck in stall decks, but I took a bit of an aggressive route, per se. Let me spread out the deck and show you. So, as you can see from this list, it's pretty peculiar to say the least, but I will explain every single part of the deck. Now, we do see Pyroar has the ability Intimidating Mane, which prevents all basic Pokemon from doing damage to it. It doesn't prevent all effects, which is rather unfortunate, so it can get GG ended in Lost Purge, but the sheer factor that they can't do damage at all to it is very, very good, and what makes the card very scary and expanded. But Kenny, why don't you just play Stall? For one, I think Stall is the most degenerate deck in Expanded. It's the rich man's deck for one, which means you have to own 4 Tropical Beach, maybe even just 1, because I've seen a couple people like Celio's Network work with just 1, even Sander Wojcik, one of the best, and might I arguably say the best control player in the game. He'll make anything work. He'll try to make Stall in any format do what it needs to do to accomplish its feat. To that, I answer you with a simple answer of Pyroar Break. So, Pyroar Break for an attack of 2 fire and a colorless Kaiser Tackle does 180 and 50 to itself. Now, I bet you're asking, why is that better than just playing it in Stall? Well, think of it this way. People have outs to the Stall variant, where they can just play an Electros to get around the Pyroar. But what happens when you knock out that Electros? What happens when you actually knock out their one-of? Now they're stuck. Because most decks don't play Rescue Stretcher, where they do play that one-of Evolution, or they're playing Ditto. And when that Ditto hits the Lost Zone, they can never get that back. So after that, after their Evolutions go away, well, that's just kind of GG, and you lock them out from there. So that's why I took it to my Pyroar expertise, I should say, because I have been maining Pyroar for almost 4 years now. Regardless of the format, when Pyroar Break got revealed, I was like, oh, this card's pretty cool, I'm going to start playing it, and it was a total flop at first, because Expanded really wasn't that big of a format at the time. It started just creeping up in 2017, though. So, with that in mind, we're going to go into the decisions of the one of inclusions of the Pokemon. We have a one of Clefairy, which for 3 colorless, you copy your opponent's active Pokemon's attack. This is really, really good for OHKOing ADPs. This is really good for OHKOing Noivern GX, which is Roxy Chomp's one of Evolution Pokemon in order to take you out. The biggest difference is, though, they do play Rescue Stretcher, but only one. But that second one, when the Noibat hits the board, that's a little bit easier because they're gonna knock out the Clefairy with either a linear attack or they're gonna do something to get around that Clefairy. But if you just find a Guzma, well, Noibat's gonna hit the discard pile, and guess what? It's never coming back. Either that, or you could also Rescue Stretcher it back and just reuse it. So Clefairy has its purposes. I was able to donk an ADP player by going second and them leading an ADP. And I just went Water Attach, Ultimate Ray, GG. The one of Crobat, the one of Lele, that ended up biting me in the end of one of my matches, which is why you'll see on... I don't remember what tournament it was. It was the one where I actually placed 9th. I lost to a Pikarom in Swiss, and that was purely because I prized both my Crobat and my Tapu Lele, so I wasn't able to draw out of my situation. And he got Electros turn 2, which ended up just completely annihilating my board without me being able to draw anything. Excuse me. So adding it to Dedenne may or may not be the worst thing in the world, but the reason behind not having Dedenne is the deck is already super aggressive as is, so you're not going to want to discard resources. You're going to want to keep resources in your hand / deck. We play one Lugia GX, which used to be a Torkoal V, believe it or not. I just had a lot of problems getting around these evolution decks, and Lugia GX actually helped a lot. Lugia GX for 3 colorless energy has the GX attack Lost Purge, which instantly banishes one of your opponent's active Pokemon in a Lost Zone, which I've managed to banish Dragapults. I've managed to banish Colossals. I've managed to banish even their one of Noivern. Like, if you just get rid of that one Pokemon, that one problem, they're never going to be able to deal with it again. They're not going to be able to Rescue Stretcher. They're not going to be able to attack with it again. Plus, against Colossal, you're able to Pelagic Blade, which means they're going to have to work extra hard, burn a Max Potion, try to hit Lugia for a ton of damage after you knock out their Mad Cargos and other things, which, don't get me wrong, Dragapult and Colossal are pretty much auto losses, but the Lugia GX does help. And the Sudowoodo is in there because it actually gives the Zoroark matchup a 60-40. And I'll tell you why in a minute. The Zoroark matchup, which believe it or not is starting to resurface, Zoroark isn't playing Kukui. Zoroark isn't playing anything like Giovanni's Scheme, which... who would at this point, because Kukui is just 100 times better than not playing Leon. So they have 0 outs to OHKOing a Pyroar in 1 hit. Nonetheless, a Pyroar break. So if you get a Pyroar break down, if you get a Pyroar down, you can swing at them once, evolve in a Pyroar break, hit them again, they lose. Or they lose a Zoroark. My apologies. You can even use Clefairy to copy their own Riotous Beating. You can use Lost Purge to get rid of them. Like, there's so many different combinations that you could do. But the Sudowoodo absolutely helps, and it helps against aggressive Snorlax players where they just don't see it coming. Now, the supporter line, we play 4 Welder, 3 Sycamore. The 4 Welder is just because you want pure consistency. You always want to get that turn 2 attack, or at least try to get that turn 2 attack. And plus, Welder is one of the best drawing cards in this deck because you're going to be able to accelerate energies and draw cards at the same token. So drawing 3 cards, attaching 2 energies, why wouldn't you play 4 copies of that? If you're wondering if you want to drop down to 3, you could honestly drop down to 3, but then that also creates an inconsistency part. People have argued to drop a Welder for a Battle Compressor. I just wanted to keep it simple and keep 4 Welder, because 4 Welder is just extremely consistent. And if you don't need it, you play enough discarding cards for her to get rid of them. Same issue with Sycamore with Dedenne, or the same reasoning with Sycamore with Dedenne. You don't want to discard your cards. You really want to hold on to them. When the time comes to discard them, you have all the cards necessary to discard. We play 1 Blacksmith, which is an older card from Flash Fire. Same thing with the Pyroar, where you attach 2 fires from a discard pile and one of your fire Pokemon. It's a way around Mill. It's a way around Control and all those, where they can't really play too stupidly, I think is the word. Maybe incorrectly is the better word to use. Because they can't just throw up a Centiskorch V anymore and just start going ham on energies. Because if they do it too often, you're going to Blacksmith. You're going to start using Kaiser Tackles and Scorching Fangs. Like, the Blacksmith is really, really good. And I think it is 100% needed in a deck like this. Especially because you don't play things like Super Rod. So you can't put the energies back into your deck. 1 Bridget, just a completely aggressive card to make sure that you get your Lilios on the board. Cassius is was one of those cards where I considered and threw it in late. Because I didn't want to play Max Potion. Max Potion discards all your energies and heals all damage. Last Chance Potion was also an option, but the reason why Cassius is in here is because it can shuffle your Lele, your Crobat, your Lugia, or anything off your board so that it doesn't get target whistled or it doesn't get Mawile GX to buy ADP, because I found out that matchup is really tough if they play target whistle and you lead one of your GXs. So if you're able to stretcher it back or if you're able to Cassius it back, they really have no out to get around it, especially because they don't play the Pyroar from Sword and Shield or Rebel Clash. I think it's Sword and Shield. Yeah, Sword and Shield. So, 1 Guzma, 1 N, typical. 3 Giant Hearth to search your energies instantly. People are like, why don't you play Scorched Earth? Well, Hearth is better because you are playing Water Engine. 4 Nest Balls, massive aggressive. 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball. You're able to grab everything whenever you need it. There's rare cases where you're not able to find a ball card, or when there's rare cases where you're not actually able to find a Pokemon in this deck, you should be able to find a triple Lilio by turn 2, at least. 4 VS Seeker, best card in the deck, or at least one of the best cards in the format. 1 Computer Search over Dowsing Machine, mainly because this deck is really, really aggressive and wants to find all of its pieces. You could arguably play Dowsing Machine and drop a VS Seeker if you really, really wanted to in order to conserve resources, but I think going more aggressive with Computer Search is the out. 1 Field Blower, I felt like 2 was a little too much, but it was at least a 61st or 62nd card that you could play. The only reason why I say it's unnecessary is because the couple abilities that you're trying to cancel would be Garbotoxin, but Garbotoxin's not doing anything aside from Ultra Necrozma, and if you get rid of the Garbodor fast enough via like a Lost Purge, or if you can kill it straight up with a Pyroar, you're good to go, because they don't play many recovery cards to get those Trubbish back. And if you do Lost Purge it, well, they lose. And then 1 Rescue Stretcher to get your Pokemon back, and then 10 energies. Perfectly fine, perfectly consistent deck. I've managed to slap so many basic decks this weekend just playing this deck or this week. The one hindrance to this deck is it is a meta pick. If you expect a lot of evolutions that aren't grass like Orbeetle, do not play this deck. For the love of everything in my body, do not play this deck. It is a good meta pick. It's good for, like, Pikarom, it's good for ADP, it's good for Turbo Dark, it's even really good against Dark in its entirety, because you're able to Lost Zone their 1 Weavile with this deck. If they play 2 Weaviles, you're able to knock it out, and then they're going to have to Rescue Stretcher it back and put it back. But the lists that I've seen are only playing a 2-1 Weavile, so if you Lost Purge, you just kind of win from there. So I thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and like for more content. If you would like to see a specific deck and expanded, please drop into the comment section below and expect more videos in the future. See you later.